What is up, everyone? I am joejdh. I'm host of Beyond the Woodline. Real quick before we get started, I always like to tell you guys what I've got going on and what's happening in my little private life. For those of you guys who don't know, I am the executive director of the JRG, which stands for the Jevening Research Group. It's a group where we research for this creature that we like to call Bigfoot, right? And if you guys are interested in joining this group, we've got teams all over the country. We've got teams in New York State, Maine, Florida, Louisiana, Oklahoma, um, California, Oregon, Minnesota, I believe Mississippi, New Mexico now, of course, here in Texas where I'm at. If you guys are interested in joining and searching for this creature, man, please feel free to hit me up, shoot me an email, beyond.woodline@gmail.com. We'd love to get you guys started and become part of this team. If you're in a state where there's not a team there available for you, you can start your own team. And even if you're in a state and there's a team there, like I'm here in Texas and just me and a couple of other guys covering this big state, start your own team also when you're somewhere else. We will vet you. We will vet anybody we set you up with because unfortunately there are some crazy people out here in this world, and we try to make sure everyone's safe. But that's also on you too to research the researcher. If you hook up with somebody, check them out, research them a little bit. Somebody knows them, I'm sure. Um, we network with a bunch of teams too, and a bunch of guys. So just hit me up. Um, you don't have to get out into the field if you can't or if you don't want to. Here in the summer times in Texas, I stay out of the field because it's just too damn hot, and I do most of my research when it gets cooler. So I'm looking forward towards October and November when the weather can cool down a little bit and I can get back out to the field. Um, so yeah, hit me up beyond.woodline@gmail.com. Also, if you're interested, join the Woodline Paranormal group on Facebook. You can join. You can share your thoughts. You can share evidence. Um, share your groups, share your channels, whatever you guys want to, promote. Feel free to join the group and promote away. That's what we're supposed to be about, right? Para unity. So yeah, join the group. And with all that being said, I know you guys don't tune in to hear me ramble off at the mouth. I had with me Spirit Guides Paranormal. What's going on, guys?
Hello, all.
Hey there, how are you?
Yeah, let me
Hey,
introduce everyone here. Yeah, let me try to introduce everyone here. I have Cheryl Land, right? Is that right? Or Shirley Ann?
Shirley Ann. Yep.
And then there's another Joe here, Donnie and Diana. How are you guys doing?
Doing
Good.
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 Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Yeah, yeah. So I found you guys actually on TikTok, and you guys had some great content on there. And when I saw you guys, I was like, "Hey, man, I gotta have these guys on my team, on my show. Put you guys on for everybody to find you guys and go to your TikTok. You guys, like I said, you got some great stuff. And how you doing, Miss Sandra? And there's my other buddy, from Squatch and Holler. You guys go check him out, man. He's an excellent guy. He's got one of the best YouTubes out there. He's an excellent dude. A lot of Bigfoot stuff. So go check him out, man.
Cool.
So yeah, man. You guys have some great content. I was really impressed with it, and I don't even know who I was talking to in the messages, but you
You were
know,
talking to Danny most of the time.
okay, cool, yeah. So yeah, if you guys don't mind, we can start around in a clockwise. We can start off with Shirley and tell us what got you going and how you got involved in this field.
Well, I am a Salem witch. I grew up right outside of Salem, Massachusetts,
Mhm.
in what was in Lynn, Massachusetts, which is considered part of the old Salem village. And so I was surrounded by witchcraft all my life. So of course, I followed that path. I am an intuitive. I'm able to sense when spirits are around. So I am my best piece of equipment is me.
Mhm.
Um, and I grew up in a house that was haunted. There were definitely a couple of spirits that were there. There was a little boy, and there was this dark creature. So I've sort of been around the spirit world my entire life. Had really early experiences, and so once I could tell that I could sense them, I just kind of started following that path. And it wasn't until I got here to Virginia about 8 years ago that I decided to actually start doing ghost hunting. And I found Fleetwood Church first, and that led me to Donnie. And there's a whole story with that too. But but that's how I kind of ended up here. More recently, I had actually left the group for a little while, and Donnie can talk more about this. But they were investigating at his house for a bit, and my name came up on one of the ghost boxes that I needed to rejoin the team, which, was kind of interesting. I'm being called back by the spirit world. So I'm supposed to be here. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing, but that's why I'm here.
What about you, Joe? You started this crazy subject.
Well, like most of us here, I grew up in a haunted house for the first half of my life when I was a kid, till about 13. Um, we believed I knew who the spirits were. It was my grandfather, and nothing malicious or anything like that. My mother believed in the spirit world. Um, I was somewhat of an empath. Um, Still am, but I blocked it out for a while. Um, I can sense things when I walk into places. For example, my wife and I were looking at houses when we first moved to the area, and we walked into a house in Hagerstown, and I turned around to the realtor and said, "Is this place haunted? Did anybody ever die in this place?" And he just sort of looked at me with this shocked look, and I said, "We walked out," and I said, "Nope, that's not the house for us here." um, I eventually, due to my job, I travel a lot overseas, so I wasn't able to join any type of groups. And when I came back and we relocated back here to the States, I saw this advertisement for a Paracon down at Fleetwood Church, and I decided, hey, let me go check it out. I've always been interested. I want to join a group. I want to see what it's about. And I ran into Donnie. And what about 6 months later to a year, he was doing what we'll call an interview with me at a place called Miller Kite. He called me up and says, "I got a weird question for you. Do you want to join the team?" And I obviously said yes. Um, Really good decision. We've had a lot. You've seen some of our stuff. The team's a great team. We're like one big dysfunctional family sometimes.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have it any other way, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. What about you, Diana? What got you started into this field?
Growing up, I've always believed in it. I knew my mother did, but she never really talked about it much. But when I moved down to Virginia, Donnie and I became friends, probably about 20 years now. And I
About that.
used to live in an old farmhouse on a farm, and I had a nasty in my house. And Donnie was the first one that I called, and he came over and got rid of it. And ever since then, I've been on the search with him.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool. Seems like Donnie's the common denominator here.
He's our team lead.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. What got you started, Donnie? How'd you get involved in all this?
Oh my God, man. It goes back to my youth.
Do you
It's
have
only an
enough
hour-long
time?
shows.
I can condense it. At the age
Okay.
of 6, I saw it goes. My mother believed me. Moved into another house. The spirits were there. I did what I could there and told them some stuff. How to block the ghosts. Then we moved. I moved out, and then they still had activity, but then they moved out. Uh, from there, I started cleansing houses, still bumping into spirits. Uh, then I just got some gear and decided to work with the spirits instead of just evicting people. I was really getting rid of negative energy, but some didn't want to go, which were cool entities that I ran into. Then I slowly collected like-minded people.
So
That's as
Donnie,
fast as I give it to you within
sure.
a brief moment.
So were you always involved from the time of your childhood, or did you ever take a break here or there?
We take a break from Thanksgiving till it gets warm.
Okay. Okay.
unless somebody needs us, and then we're on. We've actually investigated private homes near Christmas. So
Yeah.
Shirley Ann was with me on that one.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was
So what's one of
interesting.
the first places you guys investigated as a group?
Now this is now you're really going to mess it up because each individual has come in a
Yes.
period of time.
Okay, well, all you guys are here together. Was that the first time all you guys were together and investigated?
Fleetwood.
Yeah, just recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So we were all together. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
And what was
because
that?
I was gone for about a year and a half,
Mhm.
and then I just recently came back a few months ago.
Okay.
So
So what is Fleetwood exactly? Y'all mentioned that a couple times.
It is a church that the land dates back. There's a tax record dating something there in 1850. It doesn't state what was on the location. The church is there now. The land was donated by the Wine family who owned the property to my dog uh, to the church, and they built on the old foundation, which we're finding or they're finding Civil War bullets and all because of the Battle of Brandy Station. So there's history there, and it was built in 1880, established August 6, 1881. Was there until about the 70s. Then that congregation moved to another location. The church itself slowly decaying, was an antique store and several other things until the owner, Steve Paulette, bought the place and decided he wanted to renovate it. So I've been working with him since 18. Yeah, I'm way back there. 20,
Yeah.
2016, something like that. We were doing bake sales as we started, and then all of a sudden we blew it up
Yeah.
into a Paracon.
Oh, nice, nice.
And we got him a new steeple, and we're trying to get the foundation painting, and the roof has already been done. The man's been doing it by himself. So
Yeah. Yeah, but that's pretty cool. I mean, that sounds like like a pretty nice place to go investigate and hang out and just be with some good people, right?
we've bumped into some interesting spirits there.
Mhm.
Some are just passing through, some belong there because there's graves still buried on the property
Okay.
that were not removed. There's one headstone that belongs to Gertrude Rice that people are saying that headstone doesn't belong next to railroad tracks. It belongs further down where a big, massive tree is. But they had bulldozed the gravestones and busted them all up, took them to the railroad tracks. But they didn't remove all the bodies.
Okay. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I guess there would be a lot of spirits still kind of wandering around there then.
absolutely.
Yeah. And then there's a lot that are common to the area, to that place too.
What was that, Joe?
There's a lot of spirits there that are common to there too, that actually know these guys because they've seen them so often.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've actually begun to know me because I've been there a couple times now, and it's very interesting. It's a very interesting place.
Yeah, there's a cast of characters that we bump into every single time. And where I'd been away from the church for a while, when I went back and I was alone in the back room, I was overwhelmed by all of them. They almost took my breath away because they all congregated around me because they were happy to see me. You
How many
know,
you figure were there?
there had to be at least maybe 6 or 7.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, I was surrounded. I was surrounded, and it was wild. I had weird sensations in my head. I was dizzy like you, Donnie, for just a moment, but yeah, no, I felt really lightheaded, and I knew exactly what it was. And I'm like, okay, guys, yeah, I'm back, but give me some space, and so
So let me
like
ask you this, Shirley. Why do you think they're still around? Why don't you think they haven't moved on?
That's part of why we investigate, to find out why people are here. There's
Right.
many different theories as to why they stay. Is it unfinished business? Is it someplace they were happy, and this is their belief of what is beyond, so that's where they stay? Is it because they're stuck?
Traumatic
you,
event.
we really don't have an answer. And for these folks, they seem to be protecting the property because we believe that there was a fire in the previous building, and so like we can't put an open flame in the church; it gets extinguished.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they don't allow it to stay. So or they cause a kind of a ruckus to make sure we put it out. So we're really not sure, but and that's part of why we go there every time, to find out more. Who are these people? Why are they still there? And it's hard to get a full answer from them, obviously, when you're getting snippets of words and phrases. But over time, hopefully we'll figure that out, and maybe there's something we can do to help them either move on or make them happier, so that they're happier when they're there.
What about you, Diana? Do you have an opinion on that? Do you wonder why spirits, well, not just at Fleetwood, but anywhere for that matter, why they don't move on?
No, I'm in line with Shirley Ann. I know I believe if it's a tragic event, they don't know to move on. So that's where we come in and help them move on.
Yeah.
I know a lot of spirits stay in a place where they feel comfortable. I have a couple around me that come in and out. My mom and dad and my fiance, few. They pass through, they visit, they go all over.
Right.
But I feel
Yeah,
they stay where they're most comfortable.
yeah, yeah. I think I have to agree with that too. I think some of them can kind of come and go as they please, or I don't know what the rules are wherever they're at, if they're allowed to do it or not. But yeah, my dad passed in 2012, and uh, from like 2017 to 2019, he was always around me. I was kind of going through a tough period in my life at that time, but he was always there. And don't ask me how I knew he was there. I just knew it and I felt it, And I don't have any kind of psychic
Yeah.
ability or anything like that, but I just knew it was him. I
Yeah.
and he showed me that he was, and he hasn't been around me since then. Uh, Maybe he's popped in every now and then, but not like he was. It was pretty constant during that time.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah.
They know when they need
What
you.
do you think, Donnie? Yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah,
do.
and I certainly did need him. What do you think, Donnie? Same question.
I myself, well, the thing that we didn't let slip was I'm a Reiki master. So I believe in the energy. You can't kill it.
Right.
It never dies. And I think energy can travel wherever it wants to. I mean, family members, I had to get them to come by and visit me, not get them to, but they stop by.
Mm.
I've had premonitions of deaths 24 hours before or 24 hours, sometimes a week before they die,
Mm.
with them coming to me in a dream.
Yeah.
The spirits there at Fleetwood, since we've been investigating there so long, we started off with just getting hits of Civil War soldiers. And then we started doing more and more. We got some of the former preachers,
Oh, wow.
pastors, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
They were there. Apparently, to one of the seances that was done during one of our events, one of the preachers was holding some of the spirits there because they could sense and see them out, looking out the window, going, "We want out." I think they got out. Apparently, some of them did. The Fleetwood Church is like an onion. We're
Yeah,
still
true.
peeling away at this bad boy. We bumped into while another team was investigating. We were babysitting the church, and we ran into Buford and his mother outside. and they were the ones that told us about the fire at the church.
Okay.
And apparently, maybe little Buford might have been the accidental culprit of
Yeah.
knocking over a candle,
Oh,
because
yeah, yeah.
he's a little tyke, and people have picked him up in pictures
Really?
at the
Okay.
church. And if you know Daniel Clays, he was there, and he was astonished by a picture of the little guy. Looks like he's holding on to Daniel's hand
Okay.
in a doorway. So it's like, and just recently we ran into the previous owners were kind of like, Denny was not quite channeling, but he was. He was picking up on what they were telling him. And there's a longer story, but I'm not going to get into that between Denny and the spirits there, because he
Yeah.
did a past life, and he ended up he looks like one of the originals there. So the
Okay.
first night Denny was there, they kept yelling Denny, 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 and that was during one of our events. And everybody's like, "Well, who the hell's Denny?" And he's like, "Me."
Yeah, he might be a reincarnation of one of them.
Yeah.
We're not sure. That's another thing we're exploring, is why that keeps happening with Denny, why I keep being brought back to Fleetwood by the spirits. This is all stuff that we're investigating to find out why.
Okay. So is Fleetwood, would you call that your favorite spot to go investigate?
It's our passion project, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not the most favorite as far as really cool things happening to you,
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
scariest of any sort, but we're very protective of the church, the grounds, and the spirits that are there.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. Why you guys would get a lot of activity there. And um, but Joe, I want to ask Joe something. What's some of the best evidence you caught?
Some of the best.
Yeah.
Well, my son and I do most of the tech work as far as camera work and stuff goes. Um, Winmore Church, Whitmore, which is footage out there. We were going through some of the footage, and we ended up catching a figure in the back outside, looking in at us while we were doing Etsy session. Um, my son was actually sitting in the chair during the session, and we were recording him. And from behind, you see this figure stand up, and then you see it take off. And this was at about 1 o'clock in the morning, Donnie. I think when that was going on,
Something like that. It was outside the window.
outside the window. Yeah, and the window stood about 5 feet. The window sill stood about 5 feet off the ground. This thing towered over it.
Really?
Yeah. Um, During that same session, I left an EVP recorder going in the room by accident, actually, and we got all types of noises. We got photographs of orbs covering somebody's head. Again, most of that's on our channel.
Yeah.
Uh, we've caught all types of different stuff. We've caught devices going off, all set devices off in the room. We were down doing a joint investigation at a location. I set a 360 static device in a room, and I left my camera on it. Everybody was outside, and all of a sudden that thing started going crazy. And all of a sudden you start hearing footsteps in the background. So it was like, you never know what you're going to catch. Sometimes at Fleetwood this last time, I had technical difficulties. My son got some stuff, and he's having issues with his hard drive though. So, but it all depends on where you're at the time. Fleetwood, we created a toy bunny. It's like a Boo Bear that they sell. But my son and I created one on the way down to Fleetwood. Shoved a couple cat balls in it and did a couple other things with it. We brought it into Fleetwood. We set it on the couch, and I think that first night, Buford played with that thing like crazy. We was sitting there, and all of a sudden the lights would go off, and it's all motion. You have to touch it to make it go off. No other way. And that thing was going nuts. We caught a lot of that on camera. Donnie's house, extremely active.
Yeah.
Nutcase.
Mhm.
They like Donnie. They come in. Got a lot of activity at Donnie's house as well. Uh,
And Shirley, what about you? What are some of your best, or even some of your favorite evidence that you've captured?
Well, what's interesting is that I haven't really captured too much on anything electronic, but when I do capture things, it's usually shadows.
Okay.
Um, I tend to be more attracted to like the darker energies because I can remove them, and so I kind of see them more. So
Okay.
when I do capture things, they're usually shadows. Um, but on the Fleetwood property and the battleground around it, that's where I had my first disembodied voice. That's where I have seen my first apparition with my eyes, not just sensing and knowing it's there, but actually to see it. And I was actually with Denny at the time. We were on the ruins of St. James Church, and Denny and I do pretty well teaming up when we're working in church areas. He will like read some passages from the Bible, and I'm a recovering Catholic, so I have been part of a full choir, and so I
Mm.
remember some of the hymns. So I will sing some hymns in the churches, and that helps to trigger things. So we were at the St. James ruins, and he was reading some rousing passages about battle and all of that stuff, and then I was singing, and we were using the little pen light thing, lights going on and off, and the light just kept getting brighter and brighter because the reverend that was there was getting so excited, and we're like, okay, well, turn it off now, turn it off so that we can ask the next question. So as it went out, I saw go right by me, just a couple of feet in front of me, what looked like the arm of a man who was probably about 6 feet tall, and you could see the creases in the white shirt. So his shirt sleeve walked right past me. I did not capture that on anything. I just saw it with my eyes, but it's the first time I saw something with my eyes, and I was speechless. It was the most fantastic thing I've ever seen. And it just got me that much more intrigued as to what this property and the surrounding areas can bring to me.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So let me ask you this: you say dark energies or dark entities.
Yes.
What does that mean to
Things
you,
that are
anyway?
more like not demonic necessarily. It could be,
Okay.
but more of things that are more malevolent, things that are more um they're not the sweet kind Bufords of the bunch. They're the ones that don't want you there, the ones that are going to tell you to get out, um the ones that are scowling at you. um Also, I sense when there's elementals around, and elementals are not positive nor negative, but they're big, they're old, and they're incredibly strong. And so they can tend to come out to me. So those could be considered more darker things because they could hurt you. So I think it's more of, I have a traumatic past, so I'm always looking for things that could possibly hurt me and my crew. So that's where I zone in. Now, if there is another spirit that's around, that's a positive spirit or not a negative spirit, if someone else has noticed it, then I can kind of zone in on it. But otherwise, I tend to dismiss them because they're not about to hurt us. So it's okay if they're there. I don't notice them. But the darker stuff, I will.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm always interested in what people's take is on a dark entity because demonic and evil and all that gets thrown around so easily.
Yeah,
Um,
they're not
and I,
all evil.
yeah, yeah, and I certainly believe in that. That there is that out there. I just don't think that every time somebody goes out there and sees a darker figure, that it means that it's some kind of evil entity, trying to get you, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I did want to ask you something else too. I think Joe actually mentioned this orbs. Um, and Donnie, you can answer this one. I think that there are such things as orbs, and I understand people can get bugs and insects and dust and water droplets in the air, whatever. But I certainly believe that there are such things as orbs. I've captured them on video myself. Um, what are your thoughts on what an orb actually is in the paranormal sense?
Well, since we've captured orbs in different locations, my definition for a true orb, if you're looking for one, like you mentioned, the dust, the bugs, pollen, even. We did an investigation. Everybody saw orbs and had to say, "I'm sorry, man," and there's pollen coming off the trees.
Right.
But yeah, an orb itself does not react like a bug or a dust in the breeze. It actually pulsates its own light and energy.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking it's just a small particle of a spirit that's floating through, and you just happen to catch it. And it like I said, it pulsates and it changes colors. A bug or a dust particle, depending on light, will stay the same. A bug will do a lightning flash across your screen or your camera. It was flying fast, and depending on your shutter speed.
Yeah.
So there's orbs are really tricky. I mean, in the paranormal world, that's taboo,
Yeah.
really. I mean, you can start an argument in a heartbeat, but to
Oh
me,
yeah.
if you see an orb move erratically and flash, and they have color, the bugs and stuff do not.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we look when we look at our film and we see something that we think when we look at our film and we see something that we think is an orb, we really look close at it before we jump to that conclusion because we see things, we've seen bugs move in weird ways, but then we've seen things stop in midair and move another way. And we're
Right.
like, okay, that doesn't happen. That's not right. It didn't happen. Or the colors, like Donnie says, they flash.
We
But we don't throw orbs out there on a general basis. We have to be really sure that's what it was.
Right.
we
I
do
wanted
our
to ask
best
a
to
question.
debunk everything. If
Yeah,
we can't debunk it, then we put it out.
Right.
yeah, but I have a couple of pictures from when I was in my 30s, so a couple of decades ago, that I believe are true orbs. That because it was a picture taken of me, and you could see a stream of orb coming out of my midsection, going up. And so we took that picture of me, and I'm like, all right, that's going to be a lens flare. That's going to be a this. That's going to be a that. I went to a completely different room, a completely different everything. I wiped off the lens and all of that. The exact same orb pattern in the other room as well. I need to look up those pictures. I just made a note to do that because you guys would love those.
Yeah.
Shirley Ann's giving birth to ghosts.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Yeah. I lived in a house at one time, and it was very very active, and we used to catch orbs all the time on our phones, and it was just like we're like, there's no way there's bugs in this house all the damn time. There's just no way. And we kept up with the house, and there wasn't any like dust. But yeah, this house it was one of my favorite places I ever lived. You know, and from what I understand, there's still activity there. But you know, maybe one day I'll get to go back and investigate it. I don't know. But we had a lot of fun. So Miss Diana, on your investigations and on
Yes.
your little adventures, have you ever been scared? Like legit scared?
Not by a ghost.
Okay.
I,
What'd you get
I'm
scared
not
of? A
laughing,
spider?
Dee. I've hunted
yes,
with
you
you
are.
before, and you don't get scared. You got startled.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah, I did.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Donnie.
We
Well,
investigated another
I
Civil War, another Civil War location, private home, and it was kind of active, but not active. And Dee and I were teamed up that night, and she forgot that there's two pit bulls outside.
Hmm.
So we got to the one place, and I heard them on the porch. When we got near a window, the dogs heard us and hit that window. And I think Dee all but
I
tried to
almost
run over.
knocked him over.
Yeah.
But we just had to start. I've investigated with that girl has had her hair touched. She's been pushed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't phase her. But that night was just, it was too cute. I wish I had a camera on it.
Yeah, that'd have been perfect. Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't.
That's what we call the underworld changing moment. Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone on the team that's ever scared.
So
On
Yeah.
this current team.
yeah. So like when I was living in that house, we never got scared either. We got, startled and unnerved, but we never really got scared because we knew that whatever was there wasn't trying to scare us intentionally. The worst I ever got scared was I woke up one night and I saw a lady standing next to my bed. All I saw was her silhouette. She was all blacked out.
Mhm.
And she moved towards me. When she moved towards me, I threw a kick, and I said, "Get back, MF!" Right? And she disappeared. Now, like I knew right away she wasn't trying to scare me, right? But it
Right.
still scared me at that time. It startled me. But after that, I mean, I went right back to sleep. It wasn't like I was like up all night worried about it. It's just in that particular moment,
Yeah.
it kind of freaked me out a little bit.
The best thing that I like
So you
about this
guys,
team is if something like that happens, we run toward it. We want to know what it
yeah,
Absolutely.
is.
yeah, that's like one of my. I don't criticize a lot of people for doing the things that they do, and I don't judge anyone. But one of the things that gets on my nerves is when I see people that are researching Bigfoot or researching paranormal run away at the slightest noise. Like you got to stay there. That's what you went there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You miss it if you run away.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, you can't really tell anybody your experience. I mean, you can, and I'm not. So I did a Bigfoot thing back in October. Because that's what I typically do. Uh, I did get scared enough to leave the location that I was at. But that's a whole other story. Yeah, they didn't want us around, so we were like, "Nah, we're not going to stick around for this."
Well, that's smart. That's not being.
Yeah,
If something 7 or 8 foot tall is banging a tree and throwing rocks at me, brother,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're bigger than I am.
yeah. We were way back in the woods too. We're probably about a good 4 or 5 miles from the nearest road, and I know it doesn't sound far, but when you're back there, there's only one way in, one way out.
That's smart.
That's
Trees
far.
on both sides. Yeah.
And you know what your face or what's up against you. That's
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah, and
You don't know how many
really
either.
yeah, and really that goes for any wild animal. If you get surrounded by wild animals but they don't want you there, it's probably the best thing to do is leave. But yeah, so during your investigations, have you guys ever encountered anything strange besides spirits? Anything, you know, I don't know how you want to say it, something from another dimension, another plane?
We actually, well, I myself, I think a team does too. I know Shirley Ann touched on it, the elementals,
Right.
and then there's the shadow figures.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if they were ever human.
Okay.
I think it's maybe something from another dimension,
Like a
Okay.
sentinel
like
of some sort.
like the elementals and all. They've never been human in a human form. They're all natural.
Mhm. Okay.
Well, actually, when I was at Henricus Historical Park, I saw something that I don't think was a spirit, like in a human spirit. It was definitely something else. One of the elementals. I was in the upstairs of the minister's house, and it was dimly lit up there, not quite dark. And I had turned away from the room towards where the hall was, and another investigator was at the other end of the hall with his light facing into that other room, and I saw a basketball-sized round black shadow roll down the hallway and disappeared in his light. So It might have been like a puckwudgie. That's what we think it may have been.
Yeah. Huh.
Because then when I went to the next building and took some pictures of the fireplace between a flash and night vision, you could see this dark thing appear with its head out of the fireplace with two bright eyes. And I'm like, okay,
Was that the hospital?
the hospital, yeah, at Mount Malady. And
Yeah,
then we went into the Ordinary, and they were holding an SD session, and the Ordinary is the tavern next door. So these are three buildings right next to each other. Went into the tavern, and the investigator was doing an SD session, and Rhonda, who was with me, she asked, was that a puckwudgie? And
Wow.
he said, don't say its name. And she's like, why? Evil. So we think we got confirmation that it was a puckwudgie, and that's another thing that I saw with my eyes. I didn't capture it on anything, but yeah, that was definitely beyond strange.
Okay. Yeah, I believe in elementals. I used to never believe in elementals until about 3 years ago. But yeah, I don't think I've ever ran into one or seen one or had any kind of interaction. But I've had events that while I was doing my Bigfoot stuff, that's always made me kind of wonder about that kind of stuff. And I got so much stuff going on. I don't really have time to like investigate and focus on one thing. Other than Bigfoot and paranormal, those are my two biggest. But it's hard for me to really focus on that. But yeah, if you would have asked me 3 years ago or prior to 3 years ago if I believed in it, I would have thought you were crazy. But, yeah. So I want to ask Donnie something. Donnie, what do you think about Ouija boards? There's such a stigma on Ouija boards. You seem like the right guy to ask.
And Dee laughs because she was with us on an investigation. They can be used. It's not really a game. It was produced as a game.
Right. It still is, yeah.
But you're opening a door.
Mm.
And unless you know how to close that door when you're done, all hell can break loose.
Right.
Because you don't know what you let in. So it is like communication, and other people have told me, well, use dowsing rods. Well, that's old school. That goes back to divining and finding water and everything else. That's what the spirits know. Ouija board is like opening a door.
Yeah, it's something else.
Yeah.
You're letting what you think is scrolling you around to spell names and stuff be, maybe it's a family member of the past. Oh, maybe you made a new friend in the spirit world, and you just leave it open and walk away. I had a friend of mine, because back in my early teens, me and a buddy and I, we used to do tarot cards, and we did the board, and we were novice, and he decided to do it again one night without me there, and him and his little brother, lightning struck the house, the board flew off the table, and all hell broke loose for them for a while. And we did it, Dee and I did, with the former members of the team, ones passed. We did a location, and we found out that somebody used the Ouija board, and the digital recorders were picking up one angry individual. It took us 3 days to get rid of that thing.
Yeah, about.
Oh wow.
Yep.
And it was nasty.
It was a hard one. It didn't want to leave.
I won't call it a demon because that gives them power, but it was nasty.
Right.
So if you're going to use a Ouija board, please know how to close it, because it gives me less to do.
This is true. Yeah, I have my own little story about Ouija boards. So I've been practicing the path for over 30 years. And way back in the beginning, I had a Ouija board, and I'd used it a couple of times to some success. I was able to identify information that I was able to prove and all that. But I walked in on my mother and brother were using it one night. And I came home, walked into that, and when I came in, they took their hands away from the board. So it wasn't being touched. And as I approached, the planchette flew across the room. So that's when I was like, okay, yeah, no more Ouija board for me. So now that I'm 30 years in, I might be willing to try it again, but I would have so many wards up and circles drawn and so many protections in place before I'd even allow that thing to be started, because I know better. You
And it
know,
wouldn't work after all that.
maybe that's a good thing, because the planchette will stop flying across the room.
Yeah.
Get in the eyeball, man.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Exactly.
What about you, Joe? Have you ever messed with the Ouija board?
No.
No.
I've done a lot of research on them. I've heard a lot of stories. My problem is the nasties will lie to you. So when people use these things and say, I talked to my uncle, or I talked to my cousin that passed away, I'm sitting there saying, you don't know who you talk to. There's no way to know. Yes, they were invented as a toy. They were marketed as a toy. They weren't invented as a toy. They were here long before the toy market hit.
Right.
Yeah.
There is something behind them. I would do it if I had someone with new protection like Shirley Ann and Donnie around, so we can make sure we closed the door when we opened it. But even then, it would have to be in a dire position where we wanted or we needed to do it to help somebody or to do something.
Exactly.
It's just not
Yeah.
something I would do on a daily basis or even consider doing.
What are some of your favorite tools to use besides yourselves?
Danny.
Danny.
Yeah.
You carry me in your hip pocket.
It's an inside joke. Denny made a statement one time about the only tool we need is
Is he
Denny.
bait? Is
Because
he
he is
bait?
a tool.
No, he's our medium.
Okay.
But
Okay.
real deal on Danny. Danny is, yeah. Um, I don't know. We use tech, but we use it with everything else.
Right.
We have a really good mix. If I was to say for me, I like cameras. I like I like my bunny. Bunny's gotten some good hits. Um, Donnie uses tripwires. That seems to be a good device.
That's just a new toy.
Yeah, we try it, we test it, and we see what happens. Now, if it works for us, it may work for a while, and then next thing you know, it stops working. Do I have a favorite? No, I'm not one of these people that'll pull out my favorite. Let's put it on the table. If it works, it's great. If it doesn't, I'll give it another go. But I don't
It
really
really
have.
depends on the location too.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
like the tripwire is great. Like if you're out on a battlefield and you need some indicator lights to set a perimeter, because I've done that before with Dr. Molnar, and we put a tripwire. I went out and I kind of felt what was going on, and I could feel where the things were coming from. So I told them where to put the indicator lights, and lo and behold, that's where they started going off.
Oh,
So it
wow.
helps. But in smaller circumstances, maybe we don't need that kind of stuff. It depends on the circumstance.
But you did that outside, right?
Yes, I was outside. It was in the battlefield.
Yeah.
So for anybody that doesn't know, the tripwire is actually an EMF detector. It is set by proximity of electromagnetic fields.
Yep.
And there's each individual pod is set differently along. You can get it from 6 foot to 10 foot or more, and each pod will go off. We've used it a lot, which is kind of cool because only one will go off, or maybe you'll see the entity walk by you, and all of them will go off in step.
Yeah.
But if you're outside, there is natural EMF, but then again,
You never know. The other thing we don't do is overload either. with devices. We tend to spread them out. Like I said, I love setting a device in a room and putting a camera on it and walking away.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
if that device goes off and nobody's in that room, something set it off, and there's only a couple things that will do it. So, um, so yeah, we use them, but I think we use everything else that's with us as well. So,
I
What
use a
about you,
lot of
Diana?
apps on my phone. I have a
yeah,
lot of
we
Okay.
favorite
use,
apps that I use that are pretty good.
Mhm.
Some are better than others.
Yeah.
And again, it depends
What
on
do
the
you use?
situation.
What do you use?
Um,
I use Necrophonic
Okay.
for
yeah,
spirit box.
Necrophonics is one. Then there's like the Blue Hand
Echo
ghost
Fox.
hunting.
Echovox isn't bad. The other
Necrophonic.
ones are
Yeah.
they're apps, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
the basic tools, the main tool that we actually use is our intuition.
Yeah,
We walk
right.
into a building, we do a walkthrough. If we're doing a home, I will carry a gauge meter to get any EMF, natural or otherwise, because a lot of wiring will set people off.
Yeah.
So we actually come in scientific. We're not just flinging gear all over the place, going, "Hey, let's see what goes off."
Yeah.
Because Dee was with me. The one client said her dogs wouldn't go in the basement. So I pulled the gauge meter out and I'm going around and I get ready to go in the basement and it pegs right at the dog's head
Yeah.
and they wouldn't go downstairs. And I mean, it maxed and it was
Yep.
old wiring. So EMF does have an effect on physical body, no matter what, if it's strong enough. We've done homes where a client asked us to come in and we came in and I did a base reading and they were telling me about how the kids were seeing things and having nightmares. And it was weird because the two bedrooms, it was a long hallway, but the way it was set was two bedrooms were there was a headboard right there. Both of them, the headboards were against that wall and the EMF was high there. And I suggested that they move the headboards over these other areas, EMF was low, and see if everything clears up. And it did.
Yeah, because
So
EMF can cause
Mhm.
paranoia and confusion
Yeah.
and depression.
Yeah.
So, even though I'm a witch, I'm also an accountant and I'm very much a scientist at heart. So I'm very logical about walking into things. I worry about people's mental health and where they're at between their ears before I really worry about whether there's ghosts between the walls. But the whole Faraday cage effect that
yeah,
just can drive you mad.
Yeah.
And so when there's like Donnie and I had investigated a house that the EMF was high in the center of the room, not by any wall, ceilings, or floor, but in the center of the room.
the
And
truth was out.
and we kind of determined that it was the people creating it themselves because they had some like young teenagers.
Mhm.
And we know that young teenage angst can possibly create poltergeist activity and stuff like that if it's high enough. And there was portals in the house too that helped. But I suggested they get some pieces of shungite and put that around the house because it dampens EMFs. I mean, we use that for beekeepers. Use that. I have several pieces in my office because I'm surrounded by computers. Try to keep my health, better. So there's ways that we can scientifically fix some of this stuff if we determine that there's not necessarily a ghost that can be removed.
Well, cool beans, guys. We're already coming up at the end of the hour here. Man, time went by so fast. Real quick, I want to
Wow.
kind of go around and have you guys maybe give some advice to somebody who might want to start doing some paranormal investigation. And yeah, you have any advice for them, Shirley?
I would say definitely, especially like in Northern Virginia, there's a number of public events that are put on by some really cool groups. We put ours on, of course, at the Fleetwood Church, but we also attend others by a bunch of our friends. Go to one of those public investigations, get your feet wet, get to know people in the field. and see if you really like it, and before you start investing a lot of money into tech, because it's a wicked lot of fun.
Yeah. What about you, Joe? Any advice?
Yeah. Make sure you like the people you're investigating with. Don't jump at the first team that comes around and offers you a spot. You have to feel comfortable with the people you're working with, and I think as far as like this team goes, I'm comfortable with them, and I know that when we're investigating or any other time, these guys have our backs. There's trust in what we do when you're out there, and you have to have that. You have to have people that are going to be there for you, especially on an investigation. Cheryl and I just went through one up in Gettysburg on a public, so you have to have each other's back. So be careful. You have the right to be picky. Don't jump at the first offer.
Yeah.
What about you, Diana?
Well, if you're
That
just starting
anyway.
out, I'm here. Just use your intuition. No matter how much equipment you have or want to get, your intuition and what you're feeling is your best. It's your best equipment you could ever use. And just be careful. Don't go jumping into a bunch of spots that have a lot of strange things going on at first. Go into like the mellower places, go with the group, and then just see from there.
What about you, Donnie?
I agree with my team. Your main tool that you can use is your gut, your intuition. If it tells you don't go there, don't go there. If you're inquisitive like we are, we follow that gut. This is the area, but that area gets hot, and my team ain't picking up on it. I'm like, guys, we need to back away a little bit. We'll come back.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't take much. But yeah, like they said, we work with many teams. Transcend was on your show. We've worked with them a few times, quite a few times. They're our sort of sister group. We've worked with other groups and events, and it gives you a feel of what you're getting into. If you're really interested, it doesn't take that much gear. But one thing you do not want to do is go alone.
No,
Right.
Never go alone. Because if you're going in a place and get permission to get into the location, for one,
Yeah.
if you find some abandoned house that you think's haunted, get permission. Because if you get hurt in there, it's your own. But follow your gut. That's the main thing, and you got to learn to trust yourself.
Yeah.
And you got to learn to trust your team. And I think I've gathered the spicy disaster, and it's great. I love them. We all have our battles. We all have our issues. We all just, when it comes to an investigation, we're a unit. So if you can get a group of people like that, you got it going on.
Cool.
I mean, but trust it doesn't take like you can get a flashlight.
Yeah.
You can get a digital recorder. They're
Your
cheap.
phone has all of that right on it.
Well, nowadays, yeah.
Yeah.
The apps are
Dowsing
questionable.
rods.
Dowsing rods are basic. I mean, that's straight home. Pendulum. If you know anybody who knows how to operate a pendulum, that's good. This old school stuff is what a lot of the spirits nowadays that I've entered to, they're not into the flashing lights. They think it's witchcraft.
Yeah. Some of them.
So
They call it out as witchcraft too.
yeah, but dowsing rods they're used to.
Yep.
And some of them, the spiritualists back in the 1800s and early 1900s understand the tarot cards, and they will speak to you through those. Shirley, and you know this.
Yep, I do. I'm a reader.
It's go back. Sometimes just basics. You don't need a whole lot of gear. You get them after a while, just because I mean, we didn't get an SLS camera for years until I figured, oh, maybe it's not just mapping furniture.
Right.
Yep.
And then when we got 2 cameras in one location that got the same image doing the same thing, that was off the hook. And that was at Millerkite House in Elkton. And Haunted MD was with us, and he had his SLS going, and we had our SLS going, and we are getting the same thing. And it was like, wow. It's like, we started a thing, just to cut it short for you. We started a thing we called Dueling Rods back at
Yeah.
what was it, Cedar Creek?
Oh, that was a while ago.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Cedar Creek. That was in the beginning.
Yep.
We decided if you get 2 people not knowing any of the answers, except maybe one, and you hold the dowsing rods and ask the questions, and you get the same answer out of 2 people.
Yeah.
To me, that's a little bit of validation.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, keep
We
it
also
simple.
did that with the
And
dowsing
definitely-
rods and the pendulums.
Yep, we did
Oh,
that at what plantation was that? No, Bell Grove. We
Bell
did
Grove,
that at
yeah.
Bell Grove in the summer kitchen, and we got the same thing with the dowsing rods. And yeah, the app told us to F off.
We get that a lot
Yep.
sometimes. Yeah.
Joe, you ask for it sometimes.
Yeah, you do.
Well, Shirley, what do you guys have going on, and tell everybody where they can find you guys.
All right, what we got going on is October 26th, the resurrection of the Paracon at Fleetwood Church. Tickets are available on Eventbrite. If anybody out there wants to be a vendor, paranormal teams and craftsmen, anybody with any Wicca stuff, paranormal stuff that they want to sell, more welcome to hit us up. I don't want to overlap too much of the same people because then nobody gets any fun out of it. But we got that coming up. That's in October. Other than that, we're here for people. I mean, we're here for locations and people with anybody that has a paranormal issue that they're scared. And if your child is in any way having imaginary friends and you're concerned, please, for the love of God, let us know. I mean, because the children are the ones that are. We were all so spiteful back then, like I was, and I haven't forgotten it. I just tune them out sometimes. But we all have that gift, and if your child is seeing something, and there's any marks or anything from, please give us a call. I mean, we're here for people. It's not all that publicity or events. I formed this group to help people. That's what it's all about, and that's my team agrees. I hope.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons I joined.
100%.
Yep.
And what's up, Mr. Anthony Ceballos? Good guy too, man. Everyone go follow this guy. He's awesome. He's got some great content also, man. He's been on my show twice, and he's amazing. Go follow him.
I think I bumped into him one time.
He's a good dude, man. He's really good. He's here in Texas, as a matter of fact, San Antonio.
But if he's wandered anywhere in the north, I may have bumped into him.
I don't know. He gets around a little bit, I think. But yeah, guys. I know they can find you on TikTok. Anywhere else they can find you guys?
Spirit Guides Paranormal. We have 2 pages. We have a fan page, and we have the other. Follow this logo. Facebook. That's where they're at. We actually have a YouTube channel. with some old evidence of old locations. I mean, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, St. Albans, God knows where all we've been over the years. I forget. We've repeated some of them. And Denny's threw us out to TikTok, which that's how he found us. And I think he's got us in a few other locations. I'm not the techie in this group, as you can tell.
Yeah, if you go to Facebook, you'll see bigger videos of our stuff. They're usually on our Spirit Guides Paranormal page. You can see little longer videos that we put out. When we do it on TikTok, sometimes we cut them down a little bit more. So, but there's tons of stuff out there. Like Donnie says, he's been doing this for a long time. He's had the pages for a long time. There's stuff out there. So.
Well, cool
We're
beans,
not
guys.
alone.
If anybody needs to get a hold of them or wants to find them, and you can't, shoot me an email, follow me. I'm everywhere. I'll get a hold of them for you guys. No problem. And before we go, you guys tune in Sunday. I've got 2 shows Sunday. I never do weekend shows, but
I
one
saw that.
yeah. One lady is from the UK. She's a witch. That's going to be the topic. She'll be noon central, and then I'll have another young lady at 6 p.m. central. It's paranormal stuff, and then of course I got my normal show on Monday. So yeah, I've got a pretty busy next few days. I'm actually recording Saturday for Woodline Encounters. If you guys don't know, you can go to Spotify. You'll find Beyond the Woodline, but I also have a segment called Woodline Encounters there. You guys can find those. Those are special shows. I'll have another one dealing with either a rake or a crawler, whatever you guys want to call this creature, out of Michigan. So you guys go check out that show. I'll release that probably on Sunday-ish. I got 2 shows Sunday, so. And then also go to Layered Legends on Facebook. Find him. He makes 3D products and makes some great stuff. He's a good friend of mine. I don't get paid. He doesn't sponsor me. I'm not getting any kickbacks, but you guys go check him out. And if you guys get a chance, you guys looking for some paranormal equipment, go to Steffi's Creation on Etsy. She makes REM pods. She has a spirit box kit too. Use Woodline as your discount code. You get 15% off. She doesn't pay me. She doesn't sponsor me. I'm not getting any money from it. She's just a great person. I've got 2 of her REM pods right here behind me. And I got my spirit box kit I need to put together in my closet. So yeah, you guys go check her out, man. She's got some great stuff.
Cool. If I can, I'd like to promote Builder Ben. He's our local. I'd like to promote my buddy Builder Ben.
Okay.
He does paranormal equipment here in Virginia.
Okay, nice. Does he have
reasonable prices?
Yeah. Does he have a link or something you want to share?
Yeah, I can share that with you all.
Yeah. Send it to me and I'll add it in the description.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. And with that being said, guys, you guys have a great night. You guys
If I may,
great. Yes, sir.
Thanks for having us.
You too.
Peace, love, and ghost pair peeps.
Okay. You guys don't go anywhere.
Take care.
Hold on real quick.
All right, we won't go anywhere.
Let me play the outro.